So, I guess this is more like a conversation about Harry Potter in general.
Mm-hmm.
They announced the cast. Here's the cast, right? Here's the main trio. I say the cast. Here's the main trio. What you'll notice is, of course, one of them is race swapped. Some people would go, it's not really a big deal. I would
I
say
don't know if she is. I can't tell I can't tell what her race is, and I don't like. I have not wanted to because I'm like I don't want to.
Arabella.
It feels icky to sit here
Arabella
and like
Stanton.
debate the race of a 10-year-old girl. I'm like, but yeah, no, I get it.
Well, I think it's yeah, it's not really a massively big deal, but it is and it isn't. So the only character, the only character out of the three that's a mudblood
Mm-hmm.
looks somewhat brown by comparison to the other two.
Well, that's
I
not even the worst part. How about the fact that the two palest white boys on the planet sitting next to her there, every time something at this school goes wrong, the first thing that these two are going to say is, I bet it was the only black guy here.
oh, what Snape? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So look, the whole point to this segment really is just to discuss, like, who cares, right? Like, actually, who does care? I mean, the budget is rumored to be between $2 and $8 billion.
Mm-hmm.
It's just insane. Like, this whole thing is just why have they done it? No one asked for it. It's not the same. It's not the same. It won't have the same cultural impact as the first one did, because the first one was a very unique property. It cast kids when it was at its hype. They made movies when it was at its absolute critical mass of hype, right? And then everyone who watched it grew up alongside the kids. No one even cares about this, and they're spending $2 to $8 billion on it. Insane, super dumb. And then, you know, who cares? Like, what a weird misstep from Warner Brothers. They've just gone, well, we've got Harry Potter. Let's just do something with that then, I guess. You know, like you've got Black Snape, and then you've got like brown looking Hermione, I guess. And I don't trust modern day screenwriters to not do anything with those. Like, do you trust modern day screenwriters to not do some kind of reference to their ethnicity? I don't.
Definitely
Of course they
not.
will. Absolutely, 100%. Of course they will.
Yeah, they will. Of course they will.
You know, the conflict between Snape and Harry's dad, that'll be down a race, I'm sure. There'll be something to do with that. That'll be mentioned. There'll be something in there. You know, a mudblood, conveniently, the only cast member that isn't like pristine white is called is going to be a mudblood. Come on now. They're going to use that as an allegory for, well, mixed race, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
What an absolute shit show. And I don't think anyone cares. Like, I've not seen any hype or anticipation for this. I'm not seeing anyone. You know, Hogwarts Legacy did all right, but didn't do that well. You know, it wasn't like billions of people buying it. It was all right. I don't know.
You know, there's a line because I just reread all the Harry Potter books, and there's a line with James Potter in a flashback where Lily is talking about the fact that he's picking on Snape, and she goes, "What's he ever done to you?" And he goes, "Well, it's not anything that he's done. It's more the fact that he exists, if you know what I mean." That takes on an entirely new, meaning now.
Is that in there?
The fact that he exists. Yep. Oh, that's in the book. That's in the book.
Actually in the book. Holy shit.
Yes,
man.
that is in Order of the Phoenix. When Harry goes into the Pensieve and sees the flashback of his parents fighting about Snape.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, and of course,
just to clarify, just to clarify, Hogwarts Legacy may have sold over 1 billion copies. It wasn't 1 billion people that bought it, which is what I'm referencing. So just calm down. I meant, what I'm implying is that it's not billions of people buying it, because it wasn't. Right? Yeah, there was a lot of people buying it. It made over a bit. Yeah, sure. It's not 1 billion people. So the interest is still low for this as a property, I think. Nowhere near what it was when it was at its highest. I think that shouldn't be controversial. That shouldn't be a controversial statement to make.
No.
The interest in Harry Potter is waned since its absolute height of madness. Yeah, I think that's...
So what they tried to do with Harry Potter is they were like, well, we have to continue this. So let's continue this with the Wizarding World. It doesn't have to be Harry Potter because Harry Potter's story is over. So they tried to do those Fantastic Beasts movies, and by the third movie, no one cared anymore. It petered out. It had Ezra Miller in it. Nobody cared. The Secrets of Dumbledore flopped, and then they were like, oh no, well, we have to keep doing this, so I guess we just have to reboot Harry Potter because that's what people want. And yeah, the video game, I mean, it was a cool game. Like, it had a great battle system. It was open world with Hogwarts. I mean, like, who didn't want to play that? That was like, well, a bunch of weirdos online didn't want to play it because of J.K. Rowling.
It did very well. I'm not disputing that it did very well. I am disputing that it didn't sell as much. Like, if you could imagine that game coming out when Harry Potter was at its peak, I would have been insanely high numbers being sold. Way higher than
it played it. Everybody would have played
it. It's just to highlight that the interest has gone down because it has.
Mm-hmm. No, you're not wrong at all about that. It's a matter of and with this show, I mean, look, the reason why there's such a discrepancy between $2 and $8 billion is because the Daily Mail has reported two completely different budgets. Last February, February 2024, they said that it was going to $200 million, $200 million a season for 10 seasons, and then just the other day they said 75 million pounds per episode, which is about $101 million per episode. You figure an 8-episode series, 800 million a season for 10 seasons. If what they're saying is true, that, even if it was seven seasons would be 5.4 billion, 8 seasons would be $8 billion. So there's a lot of discrepancy about what they're actually spending on this. But now the problem is you've now ticked off the anti-woke crowd, the more conservative crowd with all the race swaps and all of the things that you're clearly doing to placate the left. The left is not watching this. They're not going to watch it because they will boycott anything that she puts her name on.
Yeah. I say that's the other thing. They screwed up from that as well. Sorry, go on, Coach.
No, I just, to add to what Marvin was saying, I mean, you were going to have people from both sides not watching this. And it makes zero sense to put this kind of money into it. I can't imagine where this money's going to go. The practical effects in the original production were good enough. And you don't really need all that much. And now we've just recently seen what they can do with AI. With replacing actors and situations that the AI can do it in a few hours. You're not going to need a massive effects department to make some of the things that you want the technology to do. All of this is going to be cheaper. So where is this money going to go if they're going to spend it?
I find the $8 billion to be not realistic because I can't imagine this is going to be that much more expensive than House of the Dragon.
Why would you spend $600 million a season? That seems ridiculous to me. Look at what we got with Andor. It was garbage. It looked like a soap opera. And you set aside, the fact that was 2 seasons that cost them $600 million. How are you going to spend $600 million on this show? How?
Well, I've just, it is interesting. So I've just done an inflation calculator because the first movie back in 2001 cost $125 million. Adjusted for inflation, it is only $227 million. You think how big those movies were back then. They were huge. $227 million. Like, that's in today's money. What are you going to spend $600 million on? Like, what?
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, once the set's built, it's built. So it's not like... What?
And with how rabidly against this project and against her the left has become, and you just saw, Trump win in the United States, you're seeing people all over the world kind of starting to reject wokeism. Why wouldn't you just do a straight up, no identity politics show and appeal to the right side of the aisle? Because they're clearly there's clearly more of them, and they could carry this show to profitability. Now you've just made a show that no one's going to watch. You pissed off everyone.
It is weird, isn't it? Like well, there is still the normies. Just there are the normies that don't really pay attention to any of this stuff. Which is, there are a lot of them. I mean, that will be the majority of the people that bought Hogwarts Legacy as well. To be honest, the normies. So.
Do you remember when Hogwarts Legacy came out and there were curator lists made of all the streamers that were playing it?
Yeah,
so that you can. There were curator lists made of all the streamers that were playing it, so that you could boycott them all.
Yeah, again, but normies didn't care.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not.
That's what I'm trying to say, is that the normies will still go and watch this. But I still don't think it's going to be that many. I mean, what's the it's a weird thing to invest that much money in, isn't it? Right? Like the market cap for streaming as a product, it's really not that much. Like, you don't, I mean, it's going to be on HBO, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Primarily.
So HBO subscriber count is over 110 million global subscribers. So I mean, that's good, right? So that's on HBO Max and Discovery. But is it worth like 8 billion? I can't see the strategy in that there.
I mean, look, Warner Brothers, they're not exactly fiscally responsible. You don't get to be $40 billion in debt by making good decisions. So this is actually pretty believable. Had it been any other studio in the world, I would even Disney, I probably would have been like, I don't believe that. But when I hear, oh yeah, Warner Brothers is going to spend $8 billion on a Harry Potter show with race swapped characters, I would be like, yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah.
It's what they do. Warner Brothers you can always count on Warner Brothers to make the worst decision possible in any given situation. The studio has a long storied history of that. I know Gary calls it the dumbest company in the world. It literally is. Like, Disney is like insidious and evil in a lot of ways. Warner Brothers is just stupid. And they've always been stupid. And no matter who runs that company, whether it's Zaslav, whether it's any of the other people that have headed up that studio, they make dumb decisions.
So let's do this. Let's comment on that, because Harry Potter is going to tank. DC is going to tank. I know we'll get into a conversation around DC in a little bit, but anything tied to Warner Brothers has been struggling. They've had an occasional win here and there to like pick up the pieces, but I'm not going to forget that Joker 2 came out. They spent how many hundreds of millions on that?
Oh, I think it was like 200 plus or something like that, wasn't it?
Man. Yeah, it was ridiculous. They spent
that was a temper tantrum because the wrong people liked the first one.
Yeah, and it was just a disaster. I mean, and that's being kind about the word disaster, right? I'm looking at everything they've done, and I agree with Gary. Warner Brothers is probably the stupidest studio out there. Sony may be the smartest. And Paramount just can't get out of their own damn way. So as soon as the Skydance merger comes around, maybe things will improve there. Take all of that, set it aside, and look at this stupidity at Warner. No wonder they're in junk bond status because of their massive debt.
In what universe is Sony the company that greenlit the Kraven the Hunter, Madam Web, and Morbius movies,
I'm telling you,
studio on the planet?
Believe it or not, in most things outside of the expanded Spider-Verse because of the crazy lady that still has some influence there. The lady that looks like the clown. Anyway.
Yeah.
So Rothman is the guy, and he, you know what? He doesn't like to spend money on dumb stuff. So I think you're going to see more good come out of Sony than you are
Well-
out of Disney, Warner, and even Paramount until the Skydance deal's done, and then it's up for grabs. But for now, I'm going to say this: spending $600 million a season on this show or more, because you know it'll go up over time, makes no sense to anyone. The show was the movies were as good as you could get as far as adaptations go. Casting was perfect, as you guys have already suggested. This is hot garbage.
Well, I was excited by the idea of it because there are a lot
Not
of
me.
really cool subplots and like a lot of things that kind of got left out because of the nature of having to fit everything into a 2 to 3 hour movie. The books are infinitely better than the movies. Like the movies don't even touch on some of the most important things on like in the entire, like they don't even mention that Harry's cloak is one of the Deathly Hallows in the Deathly Hallows movie. Like there's so many entire characters, entire arcs get left on the table that make the movies not make sense if you didn't read the books. So I was excited at the idea of like, because I have always said the TV is the superior medium for storytelling. Oh, we get to actually tell these stories now in an 8 to 10 episode series, 7 seasons, overseen by the creator. This could actually be good. This could be the definitive version. And then the casting started coming out, and I was like, oh, okay, it's just going to be nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We've got some super chats about this. So we got one from Lunal Star. Note, like Harriet Potter, that's a girl. All right.
That would be a girl if it was Harriet Potter. That is correct.
Donovan says, I call BS on that Harry Potter series budget. A, makes no sense money-wise. B, it makes no sense for Zaslav to okay that. Yeah,
that's why Warner Brothers might do it, because it makes no sense.
Well, $2 billion for like 5 seasons. That kind of makes sense.
200 million is what they spend per season on House of the Dragon, which I think is where that number kind of came from. It's like, okay, well, this is going to be similar
that makes
in
sense.
size and scope. That makes sense. And again, I'm not the one saying in this article that it's going to be $8 billion. This is all the Daily Mail. It's all about their conflicting reports. So I just wanted to make it clear that I'm not the one saying that. And I was very, very clear in the article about that, because I personally don't think there's any way it's that expensive. I think it is going to be something
billion,
in line with
$2 billion. Though, still too much, to be honest.
Probably.
Archer says, I saw a joke post the other day that the casting of Hermione makes sense because they will have to get past a wall to get to Hogwarts. I don't understand. What?
Is he insinuating that she's Mexican?
Ha. That's funny. I like that joke. That was funny. No, it's fine. That's fine.
No, I found it funny. I was doing my real laugh, which isn't very vocal.
Well, I thought that was brilliant. That's tickled me. That was good. Kalechi Super Chat $2 says, Marvin, this budget came from Brett Dasovich tweet, who's a part of Pop Culture Crisis. How credible is that tweet? And do you know what his sources are?
It was reported by the Daily Mail. So, at the end of the day, you got to think if they're reporting it, you'd hope that an actual newspaper, big publication like that in the UK would actually have a second source on that. So the reason why it was newsworthy was because I had seen that tweet as well. And I wasn't going to run with this. I didn't run with it until I saw the Daily Mail report, because I'm like, okay, well, now that's a story now, because, a major news outlet has reported this number.
Yeah, I mean, we're only talking about this because it's speculative. We're not talking about it as if it's legit. Even if it was 2 billion and they were spending 200 million a season, that's still too much, I think, personally. because streaming's just on its way out. I think. Like I think people are. I don't know. I just think they're bad decisions. I can't see how they're making money from it, but whatever. It's interesting. Let's move on from this. Let's move on.